Alright, so this latest chapter of One Piece somehow managed to up the already sky-high stakes of this current Wano conflict. Now, we don't usually cover color pages for One Piece considering it gets them so frequently, and they just usually look good, but man, this is why Oda is no different from Sengoku's pet. So if you don't know, recently the final DLC character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was announced, who happened to be Sora from Kingdom Hearts, putting nerds across the world into cardiac arrest. But it would seem that in honor of that, Oda has given us a Super Smash Bros. Inspired color page, and I absolutely love it. Not to mention e-girl Nami here with the cat ears, headset, and pink gaming chair is hilarious. I just love this so much. But yeah, with the previous chapter, Luffy and Kaido continue to face one another after having just split the heavens above. With this, Luffy would hold off Kaido, wanting him all to himself, as Yamato and Momonosuke would move elsewhere. As now learning how dragon traversal works, Momonosuke was able to conjure flame clouds just as Kaido could. And it was with this that the two were able to recognize that Onigashima was beginning to collapse as Kaido's flame clouds were becoming unstable, as Kaido himself was actually weakening. What was really and truly just a disaster waiting to happen, and so to prevent a major calamity from happening to Wano, Momonosuke would need to push Onigashima back with even stronger flame clouds than Kaido's. Otherwise, with the sheer amount of weaponry and explosives stockpiled in Onigashima, it would ultimately act as a massive bomb, killing everyone, both friend and foe alike. Right now, Luffy was the only one who could defeat Kaido, and so these two would need to handle this problem on their own. Meanwhile, Zoro would continue his fight against King and be absolutely manhandled. Franky would offer to help, but Zoro wanted this fight for himself. King was pissed and unrelenting as he forced Zoro right out of the skull, but thankfully Zoro would be able to recover and avoid plummeting to his death, as we would then see a portion of King's face revealed. With this latest chapter, a conversation would be had amongst the members of CP0 as the person being communicated to would express some disbelief to the notion of a second dragon having appeared before them, what would be discerned to match the artificial devil fruit produced by Dr. Vegapunk. Not only that, but the fact that it was fighting alongside Luffy against Kaido was worth noting as well. However, the person on the line, who we can recognize by the appearance of his Dendenmushi, didn't care all too much either way, as pirates taking one another out only made their jobs that much easier. A lack of interest that would cause the speaker to question the point of the call at all. Apparently, they had orders from above. In the unlikely event that Kaido were to be defeated, it has been decided that the world government will seize the land of Wano, as apparently several ships were already on their way. However, the plausibility of such an outcome would be called into question, a prospect that to the speaker came across as a pirate-like tactic. The tide of battle has shifted dramatically since the beginning, going from 30,000 to 5,400 in favor of the Beast Pirates, to now only 12,000 to 8,000 in favor of the Beast Pirates. But even despite all this, the speaker still could not fathom the possibility of Kaido losing here, as the man on the line would express the very same sentiment. He would await a later report, but would also express one additional order concerning the Straw Hat crew in particular. And with this, we would see this figure to be Rob Lucci, who would order the capture of Nico Robin. That regardless of the outcome, the sheer magnitude of Robin's importance and threat to the established was not to be understated, especially now being within the grasp of such notorious pirates as the Yonko. She was too dangerous. Meanwhile, following her fight against Black Maria, Robin was pretty battered and would depend on Brook's assistance as he cleared the path for her. At the same time, in the sky, Momonosuke was desperately trying his best to emulate Kaido and do as Yamato had instructed previously. They were at this point only 5 minutes away from touchdown and utter destruction, but apparently the two had split up yet again, just as Yamato had gotten done apologizing for doing so previously, much to Momonosuke's dismay. His clouds were pretty pathetic, but he had no choice but to figure things out, otherwise countless people would die. From here, we would receive the perspective of Yamato, who was in the process of scaling Onigashima in his hybrid form, doing so for the sake of hopefully minimizing the potential destruction. Yamato knew where the explosives were kept, and so his plan was to at the very least lessen the number of potential casualties should the worst come to pass. With this, we would see Yamato begin to pass the members of Law's crew, the Heart Pirates, and transform into his full Makami form, which does kind of look a little weird to me, but that's fine. For our final perspective shift of the chapter, we would find ourselves on the live floor as the fight between Sanji and Queen would resume. Queen was not letting up at all as Sanji was seriously being pushed. In fact, Queen would urge Sanji to use his Germa Raid suit so that by crushing it, he could truly express his technological superiority, all while knocking Sanji around. He would mention how Sanji previously used it against King, as Sanji himself would again begin to question the current state of his body. Queen would continue to pester him to use it, which Sanji would outright refuse and express that he had no connection nor interest in the Vinsmokes. To this, Queen would launch a beam attack as Sanji would evade and deliver a searing kick onto the dino. Queen would be pushed back quite a ways away, but would then shift to his complete Zoan form. Try as he might, Sanji was having a whole lot of trouble delivering any major damage onto Queen's ridiculously tough hide. Queen would acknowledge Sanji's apparently human strength, and so he decided to make use of his unmodified dinosaur strength in response. The power of the beast that ruled the world for over 100 million years, as Queen would straighten himself out, flick up his tail, and shoot out of his body like a rocket. I mean, this was absolutely ridiculous. The way dinosaurs work in the One Piece world is absolutely insane. It is like asking a little kid how dinosaurs operate. Wow, with this, Queen had become a massive serpentine creature, as apparently this was the true form of a Brachiosaurus. This hold of his being one that nobody has ever escaped, and that includes plenty of armament hockey masters who had their bones crushed and innards ruptured. Queen was disappointed by such a performance from one of Judge's kids and would give Sanji one last chance to display the power of the Germa, but Sanji would refuse. Queen would then point to the body he had left behind, as apparently if it wasn't for his bodily modifications, it would be nothing more than shedded skin. Instead, he managed to equip launchers onto it, which would fire as soon as they were mentioned, which would cause him to be blasted by it, as he did in fact mention them. And after yelling back at it, he would effectively mention it again and be blasted once more, as Sanji would be freed from his grasp. But regardless, Sanji was crushed, and so his death was to be expected. However, Sanji would in fact get back up and walk yet again, albeit like a paperclip bent out of shape. All his bones were broken, but very quickly he would lock everything back into place and be just fine, as it would seem he had awakened the very same Germa abilities as his siblings. Sanji no longer felt strangely, as Queen came from behind, ready to cleave him in two, but as the blade connected, it shattered. Sanji had awakened a new power and was looking to be a monster like his siblings, and that was the chapter. Alright, so with tanking of this magnitude, Sanji is looking to be on pseudo Big Mom levels of durability. This is really interesting. I mean, Sanji was already plenty strong, but this has made him quite the force indeed. With Zoro having displayed his Conqueror's Haki during the conflict as well, it only makes sense for Sanji to receive a power-up of this caliber. Now, besides all that, we absolutely need to talk about the intervention of the world government here. Oh man, these stakes have only gotten higher. Even if they emerge victorious, the Straw Hats and their forces will have a very hard time combating this when they themselves are thoroughly exhausted. And so with that, I think we have to expect the intervention of yet another force in their favor. Yet at the same time, the world government is way too bold. I mean, Big Mom is still here and thriving. It's not as if the place just becomes free real estate once Kaido leaves. And you know what, I must say that it feels like these Straw Hats are being both taken seriously and underestimated all at the same time. I mean, the world government is taking the conflict seriously enough to prepare an invasion in the event that the Straw Hats do win, but they are under the impression that the place is just free if Kaido loses, as if the requirement for this defeat isn't the victory of Luffy. I get that they're capitalizing on an opportunity here, but if I'm remembering correctly, an exhausted Luffy absolutely folded this man Rob Lucci. Maybe Lucy just needs another attitude adjustment, who knows. Now don't get me wrong, the targeting of Robin is pretty much an inevitability, to be fair. I mean, it's like having Pikachu near Team Rocket, but I pray they don't actually nab her. I cannot do that again. But hopefully you will be willing to watch our content again by subscribing to Plot Armor with notifications on. We can continue the discussion in the comments, on social media, or even in our Discord server, which you may find linked in the description below. Because when it comes to bringing you some of the best One Piece content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. And you can also use our RightStuf affiliate link down below to get your hands on some manga of your own. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.